Hey Spooky Cat, guess what? Today we're going to be covering one of your favorite saints, St. Ignatius of Antioch. Are you excited? Or are you just totally disinterested? Okay then.
Welcome back. You know me. You seen me. It's Orthodox Review, the most uneducated educational program on the internet today. I am so happy that you could join me today. And today we're going to be going over some delightful little treasures of our deep and ancient Orthodox faith. But before that, gotta say, yeah, your boy's happy. Your boy's happy. You've been good to me. I'm trying to be good to you. I love you. But half of you are not subscribed. So if you could just go ahead and click that little subscribe button there, that'd be great. That'd be fantastic. Thank you. At any rate, so yeah, like, share, subscribe, all that, yada yada yada. So this is episode 81. We're going to be going over the Didache and the letters of St. Ignatius of Antioch, as published by St. Ignatius Press in cahoots with Legacy Icons. Now, these are dirt cheap, like 5 and change a piece. They're short reads, they're great reads. As you can see, already plenty of, I've had this for all of 2 weeks, and there's plenty of wear and tear on it. I've been just digesting this again and again and making notes, and okay, let's get into it. So the translations themselves are actually based on the Philip Schaff translations that were published in the Ante-Nicene Fathers back in 1885. Now, some minor edits have been made to the English just to kind of bring it up to date a little bit, make it a little easier to read. So really no major changes in the translation, and it is so easy to read. A lot of people are familiar with the early church fathers as published by Penguin Books. Yeah, Penguin. I've got a copy over there on the shelf. But this is a far easier read than those translations. Even though those translations are from the early 20th century, they just seem a little. They try to do this faux King James. It's bad. So these great translations here. So let's see. The Didache was first published by Legacy in 2013, and the letters in 2017, and both brought under the publishing banner of St. Ignatius Press in 2020 in a third and second edition, respectively. So I spoke with Dave very briefly from Legacy Icons, and he talked about how the idea behind this series is to bring smaller works to the general Orthodox public in the realm of basic Orthodox teaching and apologetics. And what more can you say but well done, as these two really, as far as post-apostolic writings go, are the bee's knees. If no one has ever, let me put it this way. And forgive me for saying this, but a lot of people are detached from the Bible because it's such a common book that it's hard for people to, or at least according to some people I've talked to, it's hard to read the Bible and read the New Testament and really connect with it on a personal level, because we're just used to it. We're a little desensitized to it. So when you read the works of someone like St. Ignatius, it really brings it home to you, being that he was a disciple of St. John the theologian. So with that, this is going to be a further series on down the line as they publish more and more. So let's get into the books. First of all, the Didache, which if you take out the drawings and the beginning pages is literally only about 15 pages long. It's a super simple read. You can read it over the course of a few minutes. And it is, for those of you that are not familiar, it is the oldest surviving catechism in the church. Dated sometime between the 1st and middle of the 2nd century. It was probably edited a few times between its first iteration and the one we see today, which is dated back to sometime in the 200s. At any rate, as is always pointed out by people that talk about it, it was originally called the Teaching of the 12 Apostles. And it really just kind of, it's a crash course in Christianity. So you have all your teachings concerning the basics, fasting, baptism, the Eucharist. And most of this is actually derived directly from the scriptures. Even in the first section, the way of life and the way of death are taken directly and paraphrased from the Sermon on the Mount and the Beatitudes and the Commandments. So again, super quick read, and just worth it. I keep this with me now, much like I do with my prayer book and Psalter, just so I can go back to it every now and again. And the bonus here is that you have a few early hymns that have been added. Now, a few of these, of course, we're familiar with because of their use in our services to this day, like the doxology, the evening hymn. But the rest of them are, not very well known. The Easter hymn, the prayer of the newly baptized, the communion hymn. But like even in the morning hymn, you can see where it's taken almost directly out of the Psalms, and so it's pretty cool. So especially the prayer of Saint Ignatius at his martyrdom, which leads right into the second book, and this is my favorite of the two, simply because like so many people, I acknowledge Saint Ignatius, and I don't, or haven't in the past, spent a whole lot of time reading his works. And as you can see, I'm marked again off in where I'm reading it for a third time now, going through and taking lots and lots of notes. So the letters, for those of you that are not already familiar, were written by St. Ignatius to local churches on his way to his martyrdom in Rome. And I posted recently on Facebook that a challenge to read this and stay Protestant. I'm going to have to give kudos to Father Andrew Stephen Damick for inspiring my newfound interest and love for St. Ignatius of Antioch, because these are all just pastoral letters, but in them, most of what he talks about, outside of telling people not to stop his martyrdom, is the ecclesiastical order of the church. And so I started going through and underlying every instance where he references the bishop, priest, and deacon. And every other page has a reference or more to these three very distinct ecclesiastical orders. And this in the first century of the church, from a man who knew at least one apostle personally. So pretty cool. And not only that, the life of the Christians that he kind of exemplifies, I think, is a great example to us today, in that we, especially in America, we don't experience persecution. Certainly not the way the first century Christians do, but even the Christians of the 20th century, through the world wars and the genocides in Armenia and the Slavic countries and Russia under the communist yoke. So it's refreshing and wholesome to get an idea of how Christian communities lived in those early days, and how deep their faith was, and how they cared for one another, and how they just embraced martyrdom for the sake of Christ. And maybe we experience a different martyrdom here in the 21st century in the West. But either way, if you're looking for a book, and a very short book at that is not only dense in its theology, but super accessible, and I truly believe can bring someone's heart so much closer to Christ in these dark times. Sorry, I just got distracted by a closing door. At any rate, so yeah, head on over to Legacy Icons. I'll leave a link in the description for these, and they are a fantastic small addition to your collection. Easy to read, and generally good for reading over and over again. With all that being said, on behalf of Miss Spooky Cat right there and myself, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I love you all very much. You're continually in my prayers. And as always, don't forget to go to church, say your prayers, and remember God. God bless you all. Later.